Hello. How nice to see you there. I'm William Gallagher. This is 58 Keys. 58 Keys, as ever, is it's for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones. There's an iPhone there. Ask me about that in a second. iPads, Apple Vision Pro, Apple Watches, all of this stuff. And the thing of it is, 58 Keys is supposed to be about how we use these as writers. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. This is about the new beta releases of iOS for the iPhone, iPadOS for the iPad, macOS for the Mac. Not so much about watchOS for the watch. I had to remember what it was called then. Don't ask me about the numbers for these. Haven't tried the watch yet, but I have possibly foolishly. I should. Could see you there. Possibly foolishly tried the betas of the Mac and the iPhone. So what I would like to do is start very sensibly about what these things offer us, when you can get them, when you shouldn't use them. Basically, you shouldn't use them now. There are problems. I mean, nothing dramatic, but there are problems. And what's kind of coming later, because very unusually this year, there's the beta release for developers as normal. Very, very soon, there's a public release. So everybody, I mean, the difference between the developer and the public release is I think you click one more button on the way or something, but public release will be wider, and there'll be a few of those. And then around September, October time, it'll all be out for us to use properly. Okay. The thing is, this year, what's different is all of the above is true up to a point. Certain things are not coming straight away in September or in October. Certain things are not in the beta yet. So things I don't know anything about because we can't try them. I want to talk about them nonetheless, because why not? Okay. But also along the way, since I know you have been brave, you have been wise, and you have not installed the betas and risked all your devices. If you can think of something you want to know that you think I will have found out in the testing, then please ask me and we'll get on and do with it. But first, actually, you're looking at this still, aren't you? One of the new things that is out in the came in the second developer beta is iPhone mirroring. That is my iPhone. It isn't actually. I'm lying to you. I can't lie to you. It was my iPhone. Okay, really, seriously, that was real, and it's so easy to do. It's practically a bit of a letdown. Actually, there's a menu option in the dock for your iPhone. You press it, and that happens. Sometimes you have to go to the phone and unlock it. Sometimes you don't know quite why that happens. Other times I've had problems where it just wouldn't connect till I restarted both devices, but otherwise, click, there it is. Small problem. I put this up there and I was going to show you what I do with it because I'm slightly embarrassed about how much I'm using this. But when I was testing this out earlier to show you, I kept getting phone calls, just kept, and I'm trying to explain you to a relative. And it's like, yeah. So I've switched the phone off. And I took a screen grab of it, but honestly, that's what it looks like. Yeah, I don't think you're really startled by that, are you? I'll tell you what I'm startled by. How much I use it. I mean, let's not get carried away here. Do I use it daily? Certainly not several times a day, but all right. I play a game of Sudoku on it every now and again. More practical. I want to impress you. One of my bank accounts, it's with a bank that the website it's a bit rubbish, but their iPhone app is a bit better. So I've been using my iPhone app on my Mac for it. And of course, being able to show you things like this is a boon for me. So I will be using it more, I'm sure. I just wish, there was, more to say. There is actually so far. What's going to happen by the time this is officially released is that, there's the phone. I could drag items onto it. I could drag photos out of it. That's the plan. That's the promise. And at the moment, yeah, not so much. Curious thing, you can't even do a copy and paste from an iPhone app to your Mac. Whereas if you're actually holding the iPhone and you copy, you can paste straight away. So that's obviously going to change. So it's going to be fixed, but it's a little odd. And also selecting text is a bit variable, but it is actually strangely useful. You saw the hesitation there. I'm finding it useful, but now I come to talk to you about it, not so much. So anyway, that is probably actually the most visible part of macOS Square. No, it isn't. Let me just do this. See, I thought it was a screenshot. Oh, you're not supposed to see any of this stuff. All right, I'm supposed to reply to that email, and I didn't. Right. That is, believe it or not, that's a Macintosh wallpaper. You'll see it move as we talk, and it'll become a bit more familiar if you remember old Macs, and it'll just be pretty whether you do or not. There have been years, actually, when Apple has opened up its big announcement of what's coming to the Mac with, and there are these wallpapers. And you think, yeah, aye. Not a lot coming then, is there, this year? This time, yeah, pretty much the same. It's just a few new wallpapers, and I like this one. It's a nod to Susan Kare, Kare, who did the original icons for the Mac back in the early 80s. She did it on I think it was a 32 by 32 dots thing, and the things she did. I mean, it's like, remember the floppy disk icon that to this day we use, meaning save, even when actually nobody has ever remembered this thing. Darren, hello. How you doing? Darren, Stuart, why aren't you two writing? Right later. 32 by 32, and she did some wonderful things. She actually even did a portrait of Steve Jobs, I think, just for the hell of it, and it is recognizably that man. I used to have a sweatshirt with, you know, the command, or sometimes called the Apple key. It's like a 4-leaf clover thing. I used to have this white sweatshirt top with just that on it somewhere, and I suddenly want to know where that is because I liked that top. Last year in Paris 15 years ago. It was a wild time. What else can I say? I could tell you, actually. Ask me what that symbol actually means, because when I found that out. Anyway, it hasn't changed yet, but it will, and you will see things like it doesn't have the Steve Jobs portrait, but it does have there's things like the floppy disk. It does have menu items being clicked. If you look very carefully and you're not writing like you're supposed to be doing, you're concentrating on this instead, every now and again you see animate a little comment. Here's to the crazy ones comes up every now and again. It's a famous line from an ad of Apple's. And it's that moment I saw something strange. No, it's sunlight varying in this office. You know, there's an outside world there somewhere. Yeah. Wallpapers. I can't believe I'm spending this long taking it. I'm just so enthused about this particular one. I said wallpaper. It's your desktop screen, and it can also be a screensaver. I don't tend to use screensavers much, but you can have this operating, and it animates in and out and this stuff. Beyond those two visual things, so the iPhone mirroring and the wallpaper. One more, a slight disappointment with iPhone mirroring. Flashback a year ago. One of the things I thought would be useful for us as writers is, can you see it in the bottom corner? I have just out of shot some widgets on the screen. Widgets, you know, from your iPhone, they're little pieces of information like your calendar. In this case, I have time zones for different places. I have some of my to-do list, which you also shouldn't see. Do you know, I actually did this, I framed it perfectly, didn't I? Little widgets that you just glance at and you see information. Great. The clever thing last year was that those widgets on your Mac could include widgets from your iPhone, even if you didn't have the iPhone app installed on your Mac, or the Mac equivalent of the iPhone app. I thought that was so clever, actually. And then you start using it and you think, yeah, no. I was using the BBC Radio one just for an example. BBC Sounds, they call it now. There it is. Sits on your screen. You look at it. It says what's on BBC Radio 4 right now. Great. But you click on it or on so many other widgets, and all it does is kind of spin around and say, please open the app on your iPhone. I thought perhaps that when you were iPhone mirroring and that connection was there, maybe those widgets would be more useful, but at least so far they're not. Got to be careful though about saying so far. This is always the case in beta tests. Things come and go. We've had 2 rounds of the developer beta tests. iPhone mirroring wasn't even in the first one. It's amazing actually how slowly this one's coming out. Teresa, hello. Wait a minute. All these people who should be writing. Yeah, all right, including me. We won't tell anyone. We'll just get together. How are you all doing, by the way? And am I right that none of you have been foolish enough to install the betas? Did I do that with my most ominous voice? What I'd really like to happen in this hour of the Live 58 Keys is to start serious, talk about these things that we're going to get and that I think will be useful to us, but then preferably descend off into chaos and all sorts of other things. That's my ambition. That is my hope. And so far, we've descended into wallpapers. It's not the same. Uh, Matthew is. Wait, okay. I'm honestly, I don't know which way to take that. You're writing while you listen. Uh, well, that's good. And I'm going to try to say more interesting things. See if I can break your writing streak. Does that? Yeah, and you must let me know if I do. Right, I'm trying to think of some good jokes now. Uh, oh, I can't pronounce that first name. Is that Gayleen Anderson? I remember you from the other comments. It's good. Good day. Nice to see you too. I want to ask whether you're writing at the moment while I talk, but I also don't want to know. Um, Matthew, you're carrying the writing torch for all of us. Okay, you write on. We'll talk. Beta release is coming out very slowly. The wallpaper is exciting. I'm embarrassed even saying that to you. The iPhone mirroring thing is surprisingly useful. Beyond that, the things that this is confusing because you've heard about Apple Intelligence, of course. Everybody talks about it. None of that is here yet in the developer betas. None of the test things. Yeah, sorry, Matthew, but basically, Rod, back your own. I'm just suddenly thinking maybe you could actually write in the chat box and we could see what you're doing. We'll spend the whole hour just absorbed in your story. You're just looking at me now. Okay. Oh, but did that break your streak? Okay. I nearly had a joke ready. Before the end of the hour, I'll find one. Apple Intelligence, though, is a slightly amorphous thing in that we've seen all the big promises from Apple. And if you haven't, then I can tell you the bits that stuck out for me. And you've got to have opinions on some of them, like the writing tools that are coming in it. I mean, of all the things for writers, I think writing tools pretty much directly aimed at us, even though actually there are three and I'll never use two of them. Those sort of things are coming later. Okay, in fact, some of them will be coming after the iOS 18 and the macOS Sequoia things have been released. But what's a little confusing to me at the moment is that some bits that you think must be Apple Intelligence aren't, but they're also not here yet. So this is the thing I really like. I use the Safari browser. I really like the Safari browser. I like it. To me, it seems fast and kind of nimble, and it has a thing called tab groups. So when I'm making a 58 keys video, for example, and I'm researching something, all you can see on Safari are various 58 keys related tabs, whatever I'm into at the moment. But then if I start work for a particular client, the Writers Guild, Apple Insider, National Association of Writers in Education, Norway, whoever it is, I push a button. It's actually a couple of clicks. And now all you can see in Safari are the tabs to do with those words. Really like that. Okay. But Safari is adding some nice things. Here's what we've got so far. Have you come across the reader view in Safari? I mean, I imagine you probably heard of it, but you might not have needed to use it. I can't remember the name, so I can't be accused of criticizing it, but there's a Doctor Who website, okay, masses of information, particularly about the older show. And I've been reading lots of the older show scripts. But just for some reason over about the last year or so, it's become in your face with pop-up ads. It's just you're trying to scroll down to follow a paragraph, and it's just absurd. So I rediscovered reader mode just for this. Up in the Safari address bar, there's an icon. It's changing, but at the moment, in the current versions of the Mac, it's like a piece of paper with writing on it, very small icon. You click on that in the current Mac or the current iPhone and iPad, and it strips out a lot of the distractions. All ads are gone for a start. Lots of images that are kind of pop over. Please sign up for this thing. So they're not strictly speaking ads. They're kind of house ads. They're all gone. And what you're left with is a reasonably nicely presented text plus related images. So like the main image, the inline article images are in there. Great on that website. I don't like it because, website people need to get paid. So I don't mind having a look at an ad for a shoe or something on the way. But then selfishly, there's also this. Sometimes, and it does happen on that Doctor Who website, an article can be really long. And Safari's reader mode will show you this amount. and make it look as if that's everything. So you're able to read it really cleanly, really easily, but you can't, there's nothing there to show you that there's a lot more, that there might be 4 or 5 more pages of it. So what you tended to have to do was come in and out of reader mode. Darren cannot confirm or deny whether or not I've been brave, stupid enough to install it. Yes, you can. Right. Okay. Come on. Right. Actually, basically, you have, haven't you? On your Mac Mini. Mine's on my Mac Mini. I have a MacBook Pro next to me now, and I'm tempted, but I'm not putting it on there. But it is on the Mac Mini. My excuse is I'm writing about it. Come on, Darren. What's your excuse? Give me a reason. Yeah. It was to put off writing for a minute, wasn't it? Kind of with you there. Okay. Safari reader mode though. Okay. So what I've been doing on this site for about the last year is I'll read whatever I can see in Safari, and then I'll switch it off and let the ads come, look to see if there's a more or continued at the bottom, and then go into that and then back into Safari. Okay. Right at the moment, it seems to be better at doing that. It seems to be showing me the whole thing. I find I'm getting out of it, back in again less. It's also got, it kind of surfaces some controls more easily. You can change the font that it displays the text, and you can do a little bit of color change, like a more readable background color instead of just plain white. It's very nice. It takes more clicks, I think, to get into it. It's 2 clicks. You click once in the address bar, and then you get a little panel with there's some settings for the website. There's a font size thing, and then there's a start reader. And then when you come out, you have to click the same icon in the address bar and find the hide reader button. So in and out is a little bit more clunky, but it kind of has to be because of what's coming next. Matthew, what is it? You're waiting until the public betas before jumping on the bandwagon. You're almost entirely on iPad. iPad OS 18 was the last one of the betas I installed. No, that's not true. I haven't done the watch. And I don't have a Vision Pro. So, and I haven't put it on a TV set. I'm doing all right. I'm doing better than I thought, really, aren't I? But actually, my iPad Pro at the moment is on the first developer beta of the iPad OS 18 because it seems to be working, and I will get round to number 2. We'll see. One thing I would wish is that we could have iPad mirroring instead of just the iPhone. I mean, just Sandy. Okay. Reader mode, though. Let me finish your thought here, because otherwise I'm going to drive you spare going off down tangents that I will very much enjoy. Reader mode. So right now, I think it's a bit better. I know it looks nicer. You have quicker access to some of the basic controls. Also, I mentioned website settings. That's quite key on a Mac on Safari, because I don't know if you've hit this yet, but there are some sites that pop up things. I was going to say legitimately. I mean, legitimately in that it isn't meant to be an ad to get in your face. It's how you log in or something like that. My bank account that isn't very good on the website, it does things like that. Okay. Sometimes if you're very quick and if you're lucky, you will notice a little flash in the address bar where it says website pop-up blocked or some phrase like that. Normally, though, I find I'm sitting there saying, like, is it just a really bad website? Is nothing happening? And I finally remember I've hit this before, and I have to schlep over to the Safari menu and then settings for this website, and then disable pop-up blockers, and then try it again, and then it works. In this case now, the new Safari with the new reader, there's a button there right in the same thing where you switch on the reader, there is the website settings thing. So it's about a foot to the right of where it used to be, but it's more in your face. It's surfaced better. So all of this, quite nice. Been using it. It's good. Oh, also, I did this to show somebody once about a year ago. You can actually say when you go to this website, always go straight into reader mode. So actually, I used to work on BBC News Online. So I was showing somebody a BBC News page, and I showed them how you could do this, and I forgot to switch it off. And to this day, 10 months later, every time I go to any page on BBC News, it goes into the reader mode. It's a good thing the BBC is public service. I'm not doing them out of any advertising revenue, at least not in the UK. What's coming next in reader mode? Remember this thing I said that a long article can sometimes get cropped off. Apparently what is going to come is that it shouldn't be cropped off, but also Safari itself will generate a table of contents. I presume it puts it at the top, or how else would you find it? I presume that the list is based on headings in the article. So H2 codes, H3, something like that, websites, but we don't know yet. It'll be up there so that you can just click to go to different bits. If I'm that interested in an article, I'm going to read it all. So I don't know that I'm going to use it, but I will be able to see, yes, there are substantial bits to this. Darren, it was a moment of madness currently using a MacBook Pro that you are not putting the beta on. You're a wise man. Do you want to know about the problems I've been having? It seems like everybody's been having different problems, but if you're interested, if you want to know my daily problems with the Mac OS betas, ask, and I'll be very glad to be diverted to tell you the suffering I've been through. It's basically fine. It's just the odd little bug. Coming next, okay. So the contents page, great, but also for me, rare thing where AI is immediately obviously useful. Saying that to you, I'm sure this must be a bit that comes in with Apple Intelligence whenever that comes, but whether it becomes part of Safari before or afterwards, you go into reader mode. The article's long enough. I don't know how long that has to be yet. You see the contents page, and you also get an AI generated summary of the whole article. Now, I really like this because sometimes I've got to research things very quickly. So I can look at that, and from the summary, at least have a better idea of whether or not it's worth my time reading the whole article, or whether I should just park this one, go off to something else for it. I can see that being really useful. It feels like I'm not reading the summary as a piece of writing. I'm reading it as a yes, no, read, don't read guide, a TLDR, I suppose, a too long, didn't read kind of thing. But I read so quickly, I just tend to read anyway. I think that's going to help me. So that's a positive use of AI, I think. Actually, positive use of AI summary. Can I just take a sidestep into mail for a second? I wasn't planning to talk to you about this because it hasn't happened yet. But Apple Mail, what is coming to it, and there's quite a few things, but one of them is that, you know, when you've got your inbox down the side and it has the first few words of whatever the message is. So it's, hi, hope you're well, or this, or for some reason recently, I get so many emails from PR companies saying, kindly circling back to the email you ignored yesterday. If I ever figure out why that's kindly, I might reply. I don't know. That sounds very rude. I get quite a lot of email about sport, for example. And the first time it comes through, I politely email back and say, I don't even understand sport, let alone write about it. I am of no use to you at all. Please take me off your sport mailing list. And it seems like that's human contact. He's real. He replied, let's send him more sports stuff. So generally speaking, if it's really, really way off, then I don't tend to. Oh, you're looking at me like that now. Okay, I'll reply more. All right, okay. But in that summary, normally when a regular person emails you, a normal human being, another writer, the preview in that inbox list down the side is the first few words. If it's from a mailing list, like I do the regional newsletter for the Writers Guild in the West Midlands, I can choose what goes in that preview. So I'm producing an event at the moment. It's a members exclusive event. It's coming up quite soon. I want to be sure everybody knows. So I have said in the email that went out yesterday, I should pay more attention to when I send out newsletters. Yesterday's email, in the inbox list, it actually says name of the event, address, time, and some of the detail. Can't remember what. So you can control that. What's going to happen in Mail, Apple Mail, from some point soon, is that it will control what goes in that inbox thing. I imagine with the mailing list that will override Mail, but otherwise, what you'll get in there is a summary of that email. So I suppose I can see in a glance, it'll just say sport, but the headline's always about sport, isn't it, as well? So maybe I'm wrong. I thought when I saw it demonstrated on Apple's keynote speech that would be something I would definitely use. I think basically I'm definitely going to have it, whether or not I use it, but we'll have to see. You were nodding about not responding, but thank you. Okay. Oh, I'll tell you something else. because it's you. Can I just between you and me? I own. Am I really going to tell you this? Well, I've started now. I own the website domain williamgallagher.com. I mean, it's my name. I got in early enough. Great. I have various email things set up on there, but it's also rigged. If I go to a website, make this shorter, William, to make a long story more interesting, let's go with that. If I go to a website and I'm not sure about it, and you have to log in and give an address, I will give it a fake address. Picking on somebody, there's a supermarket here in the UK called Tesco's. If I were to go to Tesco's website and for some reason thought there might be a problem, the address I would give them as I log in would be, I would make it tesco@williamgallagher.com. And so then later on, when I'm suddenly getting lots of junk mail, I look to see what the address is. And if it's addressed to Tesco, well, I know where it came from and I can just switch off that address. But I get a stunning amount of emails addressed to, well, there was one yesterday called sf@williamgallagher.com, Susan something in it. Somebody is going around giving at williamgallagher.com email addresses out, and I'm getting that one was about sport. Another one is about some sort of special offer in American cinemas. I was almost excited there. And I get an amazing number of invitations to book my private plane journey from, I don't know, Boston to New Jersey or something. Two places I like, but I'm not likely to fly there from England. I keep telling that company I don't exist and they keep ignoring me. Okay, junk mail there. Sorry, you sent me off down the line. Briefly back to mail. Something else that's coming in that I think is really nice is there's going to be automatic categorization. Gmail's had this for eternity. It looks at an email and goes, yeah, that's PR. That looks better. That one looks important. Apple Mail's going to do something like that as well. I think you might actually have seen me change my mind as I said this to you, because I don't know that I'm going to use it. I like to check the emails myself. I mean, I love email, but then I really like this, and you can do this now on Apple Mail, on the Mac, on the iPad, and the iPhone. I mentioned my bank with its rubbish website account. Well, occasionally they send me rubbish emails as well, but they're important rubbish emails. So I go to move them, and I keep things in an inbox called Money. Okay, I click on the email, I click on Move To, and since iOS 16, I think it was, the Mac and the iPhone and the Mac have recognized that I tend to move this type of rubbish into that Money inbox. So it offers me that as a button. I really like that. And surely categorization is the same kind of thing, I think. It's funny, isn't it? It's like tantalizing this time. I had the impression that Apple rushed out announcing Apple Intelligence, that if they could, they would have waited till next year, but everybody was kind of on their back. I almost like that, a company that big being knocked around by other companies and doing something to fix it. I'm not sure. Anyway, they're making the right noises. We'll find out when it comes out whether or not it all works. And categorization in mail is going to be one of them, I think, for me. Summaries, pretty sure. And then the Safari Reader one, the summary. I just know from the amount of reading I do for research, that one is really going to be extremely useful. Stick with the Mac for just a bit. There's one more thing about Safari that I nearly forgot, actually. Did you see me cheat and look at my notes on the side? There, yeah. This also isn't there yet, but remember I said that the icon has changed for reader mode, that it used to. In the current Mac, it's still like a little piece of paper with some writing on. Well, now I don't know how to describe it. It's like a square with a reflection underneath it, some wavy, not even wavy, but short lines. It looks like a reflection of something. You click on it, and at the moment it gives you reader mode, but it's also going to give you Safari highlights. This one I think could be gold. Not there yet, so don't know. I keep practicing every time there's a new release. 2 beta releases so far. I've gone to the same website that Apple used in their demonstration to try it, to follow exactly their steps to see is it there yet. And so far, no, it isn't. But what it will do is, there are examples in a hotel. You go into a particular hotel, rather than schlep all the way through the website to find the address, you can just click in that same, I don't know what to call it, the reader icon mode, and it will pull out what it believes are the most useful things for you to know, and it includes the address of where you're staying. I mean, you got to think the website should be telling this, but you've seen this as well. The number of times I've been searching a website to find what I would have said was a really key detail. Like, there's a 58 Keys episode coming up. Actually, you might be able to help me with this, because one of the reasons it hasn't happened yet is I cannot think of a name for it. It's a series. It's going to be one about 3 or 4 Mac utilities for moving files and folders around. So, things end up in your downloads folder. There are quick ways to send them off to your 58 Keys folder, your money folder, whatever it is. Finder Tools, what a dull name. That's all I've got so far. Drop Zone, default folder X, Yoink, and a new one called Fover, Fover, which I'm only just trying today. That's the type of thing. If you know those apps and you can think of a snappy name for it, please let me know. But okay, there I was yesterday. I won't tell you which one it was, but it wasn't default folder X. I was making notes on a 58 Keys episode, and could I find the price of this app? There's a terrible, I mean, let's not get carried away. There's an inconvenient thing with the App Store things that once you've bought something, it doesn't show you the price anymore. And I bought these apps. I've been given Fover for free, but it's still officially bought through the App Store. So I go stick it on the App Store page, and I can't see the price. The same with all of them. Default folder X can't be on the App Store, so that one's easier. And in fact, that one was a doddle. Went straight to the site. There's the price. Wrote it down in my notes. Moved on. But one of these ones, I searched and searched, and highlights apparently would have probably pulled it out for me. Am I going to confess something to you? No, because you're just kind of looking at me there, aren't you? I'd like to be useful. I think I can at least be confessorial. We can make up words, can't we? Anyway, I'm going to confess something. I was under pressure. I had to finish something to go do something else. I thought, if I don't write down the price now, I'll never find it. I actually turned to AI to find the price of this. A few weeks ago, I switched from using Google almost at all to using a tool called perplexity.ai. And when I was searching for this price out of habit, I went to perplexity.ai and I wrote in, what is the price of this app in the US and the UK, ? Hit return. And it gave me an answer. I didn't trust it. I did trust Perplexity AI. It had some strange problems. And then last week I heard that it's the makers of Perplexity is like a ethically sourced AI. Is that a phrase we can use? That's the whole thing about Perplexity, that it's not doing this, it's not doing that, all the bad things we hear about, except, not so much. Apparently it is. That was so disappointing, because I thought finally an AI tool that was genuinely useful, kept me away from Google, was faster, and still did that thing of rabbit holes go down. It was very good at saying, ask a follow-up question. I thought, oh, right, yeah. When was the last version out, or something like that? That's a pretty dull rabbit hole. But if I look up a film detail or something, or I follow a writer's name, and you can see all of this stuff they've done. I was enjoying that, and now I put perplexity.ai on the front page of my iPhone, but you can't see it anymore, but I've actually moved it off now until they stop being naughty. Why can't we trust AI companies? And was that the most naive thing? I'm just I mentioned earlier that I think Apple's making all the right noises. I think they're saying all the right words, and I'm really impressed with how they're doing it. It's just we don't know yet whether it works. But we'll find out later on. I'm very conscious I'm still on the Mac, and there's a couple more things I do want to say about it. Well, actually, there's one that you can help me with again, because I don't understand this one. I tell you what, Darren, since you've got it on your Mac, can you tell me, have you noticed any iPhone notifications appearing on your Mac? Because I haven't. Thing is, I get notifications everywhere anyway. I don't believe I set this up. But if you phone me, you know, when I said somebody kept phoning me when I was trying to set up, demonstrate to you, well, the phone was ringing, but the Mac was going mad, like notification at the top with every call for it. So that is that an iPhone notification? If it is, it's one I had before. So I don't know, but apparently they're coming. Apparently they're useful. Darren, I'm relying on you. Set me straight. No, Darren, I was relying on you. There's a small chance it isn't working yet. That would explain it. Maybe when it works, and notice that's all changed to a nice color. Now, still, I don't actually recognize anything here, but it's changed. This is the thing with developer. That thing with the summarizing stuff, there was a small chance that it was working in America and not here in the UK. So I reset my Mac to be under US language and settings and all this stuff, and it still wasn't working. We just don't know what's coming when. Matthew, a quick way to find the price for an app. Oh, you put on the App Store is to start the process of sending it as a gift. Oh, your man. Perfect. Thank you. I'm having that. Excellent. Why did I never think of that? That's great. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm not going to say you saved me hours there because you'll hear me, but you certainly saved a lot of minutes there. Great. Darren, you've broken the beta. You notice the little apple thing going past me. It's a sad apple thing going past me because you broke the beta. And there's what is file? Oh, file menu. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, since you've broken yours, I'll tell you what's wrong with mine. It's a sad story. Yeah, all right, isn't really. That nice wallpaper you saw with the phone around it, for some reason, and who knows why, from time to time, it just goes, and I have a totally blank screen. Oh, so you got to tell me, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Galen stuff? You get iPhone notifications. You're not on a beta. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that my MacBook Pro that's to the side of me, and why am I pointing at it when you can't see it? But it's right there. It gets the phone call notification. It gets all of this stuff. So maybe I should just watch the keynote more closely or something. Isn't that quite distracting? There's like a little fly going on around me. It'll change in a minute. iPhone notifications are coming, and apparently they'll be fantastic. Okay, great. Oh, I nearly missed one. Did I nearly miss one? Actually, you know what I said about boring names for things? The Finder Tools one. And listen, what time is it? Yeah. If we've got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes left. I should really get off the Mac onto the iPhone. But, you know, to come up with a name for things like Drop Zone and Zoink and all of these shelf apps, Finder apps, Finder Tools apps. I need a name, please. There's a thing that I think sounds really, really dull. And I think if you happen to have come across it before, or you don't happen to have hit the need for it before, you're really going to shrug right now. Oh, brilliant. I'm not going to risk it again. But Galen, I just risked it again. Okay. Thank you. Oh, that's made my night, actually. Thanks. Maybe if I wait longer, I'll make the title more exciting just through anticipation. Do you find you do that in conversations? Because we're so used to pace and rhythm. You build up, okay, apparently just me. All right, fine. Window tiling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Apparently Windows has been doing this for years. It's not a reason to swap to Windows. Is there a reason to swap to Windows? On the Mac now, from macOS Sequoia onwards, if you drag a document window or a Finder window, say, to the side of your screen, right up to the edge, it will show you a kind of white, translucent, very large square that could be filling half your screen, left to right, bottom, top, and stuff, or quarters. And if you think that looks nice and let go of your mouse, the window you're dragging snaps to exactly that position. And the idea is that you can neatly arrange things on your screen. I said if you've not hit the problem, you wouldn't care about that. I hit the problem a lot. It's because, it's like you have so many documents open and you're trying to compare two of them. And, you've finished with the Writers Guild email, but also there's a thing going on. Somebody's going to email you in a minute, so you don't want to quit that. Suddenly your screen is full of things. This is meant to fix that. I think you can hear in my voice that I'm not impressed, and I'm wrong there, because if you've had the overlapping problems and you've not looked into a solution before, then this is good. I think. I think there's a mistake in it. When I first got the beta, I was dragging the window around and nothing was happening, because by default you have to drag while pressing down. It's the option key for it. Why? There's a section in system settings buried deep under desktop and dock. Scroll down to Windows, scroll down to window tiling, and there you can turn that off so that just dragging does it. The thing is, there's a lot of dragging on a Mac now, and there's a lot of dragging to the edges. I mean, I mentioned that I have a MacBook Pro here, and you can see I've got the Mac screen behind me. Because of universal control, this tremendous thing, I could drag a document from that MacBook Pro onto the Mac Mini or back again. But as you drag to the side of one screen and then it appears on the side of the other. So dragging to tile, you've got to position it just so, which is probably why that option key is needed, but they could have told us or something. Also, you know the little green traffic light icons that you see on every Mac window, it's not red and amber, red, yellow and green ones, and red is just close the window. I can never remember what amber is, but the green one is make it full screen or something. Still is, but if instead of clicking it you just hover over it, you get a lot of these options for tiling window to one side or another. So okay, that's two ways to do the same thing, and I think the green light is easier. But then there's a third way to do the same thing. Every Mac app now, if it has a window menu, and I think they all should, somewhere in there there'll be a new menu option called move ampersand resize, and if you go to that and pop out, you get even more options for it. So it's in three different places. It's inconsistent what's available in each of the three places, and who would know any of these? How would you stumble on any of them except maybe the green light one? I think that's something that's going to change over the beta. But I kind of recommend it if you haven't used it, and I don't recommend it because there are better alternatives. The most famous one is one called Moom, MOOM. It lets you move windows around with the drag, yes, but with a click of a button. There's an app called Keyboard Maestro, which is an incredible Mac app. It's like a utility that solves lots of problems. You tend to buy it to solve one particular thing that's come up, and then you find you keep doing things with it. I mean, I've had it for 15 years, and I use it every day in things. I'm kind of scratching the surface. But one of the things I actually spent some time doing with it was setting up this particular screen to have 4 sections. So if I press a certain button, well, I get a Safari browser goes way over there. I can get Slack way over here. I do a lot of video editing in Final Cut Pro and image editing in Pixelmator Pro. I press this combination. Are you making notes? And it doesn't take up to that side. It takes up to 2 at this end, and then I can shrink it to 1. All that stuff. I went through working out all the pixel sizes, and Keyboard Maestro helped me find the pixel widths and all this stuff. And now I've done it. It's handy. I like it, and it gives me more control than Apple's one. So I'm going to ignore it. There's also, I did actually do an entire, can you believe there's an entire 58 keys about window management? The things we do to not write for 5 minutes, I don't know. I've covered every one of them, all of them. And then a viewer actually recommended one I've never heard of called Mosaic, and that's what I use all the time on the Mac. I'll tell you what, when this when this live thing goes out as a recording, I'll add some links in so you can have a look at some of these, see what you think as well. Window management, window tiling, good that it's in there. Apple has other tools to help with window management. I like some of them better than others, but how much can you talk about Windows? Well, how long have you got? Really, I'm pushing your limit there. I mean, Matthew, there's no way I'm distracting you from your writing talking about Windows. There's also, I got to tell you this, headphone accommodations. Right? I think we might both be Googling that afterwards a little bit. And there's also video conferencing, right? Because you do a lot of video conferencing. You know the thing where you can replace the background? Well, macOS Sequoia does it equally as badly as all the rest of them, as far as I can see so far. But apparently, in some way, it's great. There's also a thing actually that is more useful called presenter preview. You're about to share your screen and slides to whoever you're on a call with. You can have a quick look at what they're going to see. So you can comb your hair first. You can get rid of to-do apps and emails that people shouldn't see. That sounds useful. And that, I think, is the benefit of the Mac in macOS Sequoia. Now, because you're a writer and you could hear my voice there, canted towards the end. Not quite, though. I want to say this. The only thing I didn't cover there that would absolutely totally be for you and me as writers is writing tools, this new Apple Intelligence thing. And I didn't really cover it, probably I'll touch on something because it isn't here yet. Gordon, so I'm telling me I still have to clean house first. I'm not judging. Actually, if you could see this office at the moment, it's 3 weeks since we had a leak in the room and I had to strip everything out. And things have been so busy. That's my excuse. All right. Okay. One more excuse then. Right behind you, just behind you, there's this big desk. And I took it apart to get it out of the room. And I must have been in a really, really strong mood because I undid 5 screws on each of 4 legs, and it was painfully difficult to get them out. And yesterday, I finally got around to putting them back in, and I am not strong enough to get the screws back in. So actually, while we've been talking, my watch just tapped at me about 10 minutes ago, and it means something has come to our front door. And I think it's an Amazon delivery of a cordless electric screwdriver. So basically, I'm just telling you I'm a wimp. Gordon, thanks for putting that back in my mind. The thing I was going to talk about, looks like we're only going to talk about the Mac tonight because I've gone on a bit. We should do this about the iPhone as well. That's something else that would help me. I'm talking a lot and I'm not really showing you anything. I would like to do you a proper pre-recorded 58 keys that says, this is what happens here. This is what this new icon is. That's what you get. I'd like to do one for the Mac and one for maybe iPhone and iPad together. If you wouldn't mind letting me know in the chat box now or comments later whether or not that'd be useful or whether this is enough. Or in fact, whether I've driven you to Windows, I don't know. That'd be really helpful. A question. How concerned are you about the way LLMs change a writer's voice? Will you be using any of the coming tools? And if so, how? When will you use it? This is Apple Intelligence. This is, I'm sorry, is it called writing tools or writers tools? Can't remember what Apple's term for it is. I'm not going to use it. It's no use to me. I mean, I said the summaries in Safari that I imagine are powered by AI. Yeah, I can see that as a tool, but it's not my writing being altered by it. I don't really see it as the website's writing being replaced by it. It's like did you have Cole's notes when you were in school? Different notes, like a quick guide to this is what it's about, and then you read the proper thing. So that I can see is useful. But the example Apple gives, it gives an example of proofreading. I should do more of that. Quite a bit more than that. I tend to write quite a dialogue-y way, so sometimes I think you can criticize my grammar very easily. And I don't want Apple telling me off for my grammar, but I'll at least look at that. I expect I'll do something with it. But then the other ones, one of them is, you've seen this, writing for you. Give me, remember William Goldman, writer best known for Butch Cassidy and things like that. He's going away on holiday. I'm sorry, I told somebody this story recently. Was it you? He was going away on a work thing and he had 2 little girl daughters at the time. Most little daughters are girls. I don't know how that worked out. And he asked them, what would you like me to write you a story about? One of them said princesses, one of them said brides. And he went off and wrote this amazing book, The Princess Bride, which became the film. If you read the book first, you think the film's fine. If you saw the film first, you think, yeah, the book's okay. But the book, amazing. So AI will do something like that. Give me a story about princesses and brides, and it will do it. I have just no conceivable interest in that at all. If you as a writer can't be bothered to write a story, why should I be bothered to read it? And I've actually had this discussion with people who aren't writers, and I'm just inadequate here. I've not been able to convey this, but I think you'll get it. Yes, we're writers, so we work with words, right? But you also know that a really fine piece of writing you've done, it's as much about the words that you didn't use as the ones that you did. I mean, some of it's editing. You've just got rid of the kind of the fat. You've tightened up the structure and all these things. But there's also, how you put ideas in someone's mind as they're reading things you didn't say, but you let them think. I'm really proud. I have one short story I perform sometimes. I read it, and a poet told me afterwards that it's what she calls a broken story. You realize afterwards there is an enormous hole in the middle, and you, as the audience, actually fill it in, and you fill it in better than I ever could. And I'm very proud. I'm very proud that she said that, and she meant it as a compliment. Very proud of that story. I can't see AI leaving holes for you. I can't see it putting things in your mind. Steve, hello. If you as a writer, yes. Well, I was just reading out one. The only thing I said, what a fine quote that was, Steve. Okay, well, my night was made earlier. You've made my week. Let's go with that. How are you doing, by the way? Why aren't you? Well, in your case, why aren't you reading more? Come on, you have all these books to read, and write a few as well. And what was the other thing with AI? So there's the writing tools for proofreading. I can see the use there. I'd be a little worried if I was the Grammarly company, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. And there's the writing a story from scratch. Never going to touch it. And then there's the one in the middle, which I think actually is the one you're asking about, because you mentioned about the voice and the tone. You and I could go off and write an email. I had to write a complaining email about something today. What Apple says is, yeah, write it out, vent it, get all that in there, and then push a button, and it will make it nicer, make it friendlier. Basically, make it a shit sandwich is the term they didn't say. Can't see Apple saying that. Can you imagine that? A button, professional, friendly, shit sandwich. It's not Apple, is it? Maybe Microsoft. I don't know. One button and AI will rewrite your message to be friendlier or to be more professional. And I don't care. I mean, their example's always emails every time they talk about it. And I know lots of people don't like emails. I do love emails, but it doesn't mean it's faster for me. If I spend an hour crafting an email, fine, if it's worth it. I feel like, well, you must have this as well, because how can I say ordinary people? Non-writers. Okay, non-writers email as much as we do, and it's, I'm sure they put jokes in, but it's mostly factual, performative things. They want something. It's transactional. That's the phrase. They want something, or they want to say something nice. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is, the email has a certain job to do. With us as writers, it's exactly the same, but at exactly the same moment, precisely the same moment, we are also advertising ourselves. The way we write comes through in our emails. So if you emailed me asking me to read your book, and the email was just littered with spelling mistakes, or you call me Bill instead of William, and I don't know, what else could there be that's really naff? I often have people thanking me for writing something I've never even heard of. So, they're sending the same message to everybody. I get all that. I know instantly, there is no point reading your book, because you're not a writer. You don't care about words. You just, I don't know, you're wasting my time, and I think yours as well. Whereas a really well-crafted email, sold. I'll have it. Can you see me hesitate again? If I tell you this much of a story, I'll sound a bit big-headed, but I think I'll look good. If I tell you the last bit, I'll look like an idiot. So can I just... I used to work for Radio Times magazine here in the UK. It's like, if you don't know, it's like the UK equivalent of TV Guide. So, I mean, just celebrated its 100th anniversary. Amazing magazine. And I have not the faintest idea what I wanted, but I had to email a man called Melvyn Bragg, again, very famous in the UK, very erudite, eloquent, writes high literature books, presents culture TV shows. A very obviously, apparently clever man, and I had to ask him to do something for the magazine, and he wrote back saying, "What a rare pleasure it was to have such an eloquent email." Forget making my night and my week. That made my year. That did. Except the next line was, "But I'm still not doing it." So But for us, our words in every form are important. They represent us. So having Apple change that with a button, not going to happen for it. Teresa, you totally agree about well-written emails. Thank you. Well, actually, Teresa, you and I email a lot. Where chocolate comes up in it quite a bit. So I'm obviously going to read anything from you. You write a nice, funny email. And isn't there something personal about emails, particularly funny ones? We have that, I think, all of us as writers, and it's precious, I think. Yeah. Okay, Archie, I'm sorry. Am I going up? No, we have a few moments more to do things. I don't want to keep you past the hour. I'm not even going to try talking about iOS 18. Oh, Teresa, you've given away 6 chocolates so far today. 7. Okay, not going to happen, is it? Okay. Gordon, you feel the same way about how you're mucking about with you? Oh, with your photos? Do you know, I didn't even think about that. There's actually some really gorgeous stuff coming. I mean, well, I think gorgeous because I need to do this. I illustrate most articles I write, so I have to create images. And frankly, most of the time, you look for what image has been used before that fits this story. That's very good. But then other times, often you're doing composite things, and there's a really nice thing in Preview and in Pixelator Pro that will just strip the background out of something, and you can use it. The Mac and iOS is going to have the ability to, I think Apple calls it distractions. So their example is a nice happy shot, and someone in the background, what kind of thing. There's someone in the background what can just be magically removed. A couple of nights ago, I was given a really old, damaged photograph to see if I could, repair it at all. And using Pixelmator Pro, I got rid of all of the creases. I repaired almost all of the faces and things like that. And by the end of it, it looked great. And obviously, I didn't say anything about it. It was Pixelmator Pro. I said, yes, talent. What can I say? Okay. Teresa, if I were closer. Oh, right, hang on. No. Okay. Possibly not what you meant. There, a little bit. One last thought, if I may, about the Mac, because I've realized all I've talked about is what Apple is doing. And I don't think you're surprised at that. But of course, one of the great things about the Mac and the iPhone and the rest is all these other developers, third-party developers. I mean, my beloved OmniFocus To-Do app, the company that makes that, aren't they great? They're also great people. So, this. I said about being worried for Grammarly, and Grammarly is a third-party company that does grammar checking stuff. I think what's going to shake out is that the same as with Apple's reminders and calendar and things, and what Apple gives you for free tends to be really, really good up to a certain point. And then after that is where OmniFocus comes in, where I imagine Grammarly will do it. One thing that's coming out now is that we are apparent. I might have got this wrong, so forgive me. I've just learned this today. I think I've learned this today. We are now at the stage where these third-party developers can submit to Apple their new versions of the apps that use all the new tools that are coming through. I mean, presumably not Apple Intelligence, but everything else. By the time this stuff is released and we can properly, safely, gingerly but safely download it in September, October time, there are going to be all these other apps by all these other people, and it's just great. We will be able to waste so much time playing with all this stuff instead of writing. It'll be ace. Steve, you have to provide illustrations in addition to your prose. What is this? Some kind of Klingon gulag? Lochtar. I know that's a Klingon word. I probably did. Is that Klingon for chocolate? I don't know. Okay. Teresa, I made you laugh. I was aiming to get Matthew to laugh. Matthew, have I managed it at all? There's a Mac user and a PC user. They walk into a bar and have a drink. Okay. Right. I expect the bulk-in features to be good enough for general users, but third-party apps will still be closer to more demanding / professional users. Yeah. If you spend all day at your Mac like we do when we can, yes, you'll need these other tools. Oh, yes, Matthew, that's it. That's the end. I have achieved. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to go away so happy. Now, hang on. Wait a minute. Moving forward for the chocolate, did it? Oh, right. Okay. Right. Physical comedy. And we're writers. Yeah, I identify as a script writer. I might try to muse that gag somewhere. Okay, listen, everybody. That has been a whole hour. Oh, more. Again, you've been laughing all through. You're now my favorite. Sorry, Teresa, the chocolate withholding. That did it. Okay. Listen, the idea for 58 Keys Live is that there'll be one on the first Wednesday of every month. I'm not certain that this time, 7 p.m. UK time, is ideal. I mean, we're all here together, so it's all right for us. But if you think there's a later or an earlier time, I can't really easily do earlier, but later we could. Again, let me know and things in the comments below. We didn't touch iOS. I think by the time next month comes around, I won't have been able to contain myself. Please look for a 58 Keys episode all about iOS 18, another one about macOS. I need some macOS 18. Do you run out of these numbers? They need better titles, although Sequoia is a good title. Tell you what, I've come to a decision. I'm going to push the button that stops all of this, but I'm going to carry on talking just into the night while you write and do things like that. Okay. Listen, thank you very much for your company for this. It's been a weirdly long day, and yet knowing that I was getting to talk to you at the end of it, that was really, really good. So take care. Write more, okay? It's important. I love that we do this, but we need to write more. And I will see you soon, okay? Teresa, help us, help us, help us.